All right, welcome to day 6, the day of love, because today's theme is compassion. So first of all, congratulations for making it here thus far. I feel like, if you can make it this far, you're definitely going to finish the 10-day immersion. Usually the first part of the immersion can be the most challenging as you get kind of used to the routine and the structuring. And, if you've never practiced with me, kind of used to my style. And then after this, day 6, things are they just flow with a bit more ease. Tomorrow is our rest day, so we'll only be doing a 10-minute philosophy chat and then a 20-minute group meditation all together. So we'll get to come together as a collective group from all across the world, talk a bit about philosophy, and then sit down for a group med all together, which will be a nice break for the body, for the physical body, and a great break also for the energetic body. We won't be doing any pranayama, and it will just be kind of like our rest day where we can still practice the philosophy of yoga and the concentration that's derived from meditation. Today's theme, obviously, is compassion, is love, is joy, and it's focused all around the heart chakra, so it's known as the Anahata chakra. And this is your energetic center that exists in your heart region, and it allows for the feelings of joy, inner peace, and love. And the element for this region is air, so almost like this feeling of lightness. And the color is green. Although this is more like an earth green, so it's kind of like a grounded heart. The affirmation, so a mantra that you can say to kind of stimulate this energetic center is, I am kind to those around me. I am kind towards myself. I am kind to those around me. I am kind towards myself. And I just really love this mantra. It's just a nice thing to do every day when you wake up and you start moving through your day, I'm kind towards those around me. I'm kind towards myself. And, especially if you're having a bit of a rough morning and your partner is really perky, like Joe, I don't know, he's much more spiritually evolved than me. He's my partner. He just wakes up and he's usually, I'd say 9 out of the 10 times, always very perky. Like, Duncan, isn't it just such a great day? Don't you just feel so good? What do you think you're going to get done today? And I'm just like, whoa, too much. I'm a morning person. I like waking up early, but I usually like getting up and doing things, and I don't usually tend to talk too much, but he's just like a chirpy little bird in the morning, and it's really cute. So, it's nice to wake up with the mantra, I am kind to those around me, especially if you sometimes are a little bit on a different energetic level than your partner. And then finally, I am kind towards myself. The classical philosophical theme that we're going to talk about today with regards to the Yoga Sutras is known as Ahimsa. Ahimsa, sorry, I'm being very aggressive with my pen. And Ahimsa translates as nonviolence, the act of being nonviolent, or compassionate. So we could also describe nonviolence as the act of being deeply and firmly rooted in compassion. Gandhi went on to say that ahimsa is the highest duty. That part of being human, we have this duty to be compassionate, to practice ahimsa. And so I'll just read this. I'll digress a little, and I'll read this quote from Charles Darwin, because we kind of talked about this a couple of days ago about Darwin and how in his book he mentioned, connection, love with regards to evolution of a species, more than he did survival of the fittest. I know on that day I said fittest of the survival. I think I had a dyslexic moment because I said it 3 times within 30 seconds, fittest of the survival. And in my head, I knew I had totally said survival of the fittest, and it came out totally wrong. So yeah, that was an interesting experience for me. I'm not sure if any of you picked up on it. Well, I know one of you picked up on it, and my mom also did. She texted me later. She's like, just so you know, it's survival of the fittest. And I'm like, oh, I know that, but it didn't come out that way. So from Charles Darwin, all sentient beings developed through natural selection in such a way that pleasant sensations serve as their guide, and especially the pleasure derived from sociability and from loving our families. So all sentient beings, us, animals, developed through natural selection in such a way that pleasant sensations serve as their guide, and especially the pleasure derived from sociability and from loving our families. So I think this is just really important when we get into the topic of ahimsa and nonviolence and compassion, to acknowledge that on a very fundamental level, we're hardwired to seek out sociability and to seek out pleasure derived from loving those around us. Most aggression, so going on the flip side of it, most aggression and violence as a species and in most sentient beings, animals as well, most aggression and violence is a response to feeling threatened. So speaking from a species level, us and animals, most aggression and violence is a response to feeling threatened. It can also come from a place of ignorance, which, yoga goes on to say, most violence and aggression and suffering can stem from ignorance as well. Our genetic endowment, I love this expression, our genetic endowment includes aggression. Like, as a species, we have this genetic potential to be aggressive. And like I spoke on a couple days ago, it helps us survive. This genetic potential helps us survive in situations where we feel threatened. So if someone's threatening us, we will become aggressive. And what that aggression does, so how aggression can be helpful, is it makes things impersonal. And when things become impersonal, it's easier to commit acts of violence. And so this helped us evolve as a species. If we feel threatened, we're going to become aggressive. And when we feel this emotion of aggressive, it's going to result in this chemical reaction of us not caring so much about what's threatening us and view it as impersonal. And as a result, it will be easier for us to protect ourselves and act in a way that may be violent in order to defend ourselves and our loved ones. So I think when we're talking about compassion and love, we need to kind of understand not only our psychology, but, it's all connected, but also understand, our physiological response to situations where we feel threatened and where we're more likely to be aggressive and violent. So this brings me to, this is really important, I think, in this day and age. Well, it's always important, is the us versus them mentality. When we embrace this mentality of it's us versus them, it's much easier for us to dehumanize them and commit acts of aggression and violence towards them because they're not included in our circle of us. For people who are extremely homophobic, I was bullied in high school. And, they had this belief system that, heterosexuals were their circle of us and homosexuals were the outsiders in them. They didn't view homosexuals as, human or at least part of their circle. And as a result, it was easier for them to dehumanize me and, say really hurtful things. So it brings me, this kind of brings us to this really beautiful saying. I believe it's a Japanese Zen proverb. It's one of the Zen proverbs. I definitely know it's Zen. I'm not sure if it's Japanese Zen. And it goes on to say, nothing left out. Nothing left out. And I think this is what compassion and nonviolence is all about, leaving nothing out. So this idea of nothing left out, compassion sees all beings included in the circle of us. Compassion sees all beings, or even everything, included in the circle of us. And I believe this is the ultimate yoga. When you don't leave anything out, nothing left out. You see everything and you see it as yoga. All aspects of who you are. The parts of yourself you like, the parts of you don't like. The outside world. Nothing is left out of your awareness. Nothing is left out of your practice. Nothing is left out of your heart. Your circle must be big for this. You have to have a big circle to include everything in the circle of us. And so that's like when I practice yoga, I'm like, to me, the practice of yoga is increasing this circle of usness. It includes my neighbor down the road who has extremely different political views than me. My circle of usness includes the animal in the farm just a 15-minute walk away from my apartment. My circle of usness includes Mother Nature and the trees. My circle of usness includes a friend who in the past has hurt me quite deeply. My circle of usness includes people who are homophobic. My circle of usness includes people who are from a different culture than me. My circle of usness includes people who are racist. And this is where, compassion has to have an element of bravery to it and courage. Because it's far too easy to turn a blind eye towards things we don't like and disclude them from the circle of usness. But what happens when we do that is it's far too easy for us to begin to dehumanize it. For us to take advantage, to act aggressively and violently, even if it's very subtle. So this brings me to one of my favorite ideas. My teacher, Annie Carpenter, she talked about this. And, it's this idea that yoga is ecology. Yoga is ecology. Acknowledging our relationship to each other and our environment, seeing our interconnection. Yoga is ecology, acknowledging our relationship to each other and to our environment, seeing our interconnection. That's what ecology is, acknowledging the relationships between different organisms in their environment. And to me, this is what compassion is all about, is being able to see the humanity in all of us, even if we have very radical different perspectives. If we don't allow for this, our circle gets really small. And when our circle gets really small, we leave things out. So sometimes we even leave parts of ourselves out. Like sometimes there's people who look in the mirror and they hate everything they see and they think they're so ugly. And they've shrunk their circle so small that it doesn't even include aspects of themselves. So again, nothing left out. Love sees all beings included in the circles of us. Love sees all aspects of ourselves included in the circle as well. My belly, my thighs, my shoulders, my bosom, my butt, my mind, my face is included in this circle as well. Even the darker aspects of who we are, we have this potential to be aggressive. So can your own personal aggression be included in the circle of love? Because if we shame that aggression that we have the potential of having, and it's there for a reason, it helped us evolve, then it becomes this dark shadow part of ourselves that can lash out and that we can also be violent towards. We can be violent towards the violent part of ourselves. And ultimately what we want to do towards violence is to bring more love and compassion, to see it for what it is. So this is something that I wrote, I think a couple years ago. This is after I was kind of going through my divorce. And I wrote, yoga is an opportunity to crawl inside of yourself, to see where you are most broken, and to love yourself there. I was fresh divorce feels. I was like, I remember writing it on the plane. I was on a plane from Toronto to Los Angeles to do a yoga training. And I just was like, it came into my head and I was like, yoga is an opportunity to crawl inside yourself, to see where you are most broken and to love yourself there. You know, including those aspects of ourselves that we might have difficulty with and just loving it. Just loving it. The us versus them mentality can be very, very subtle. Like, the biggest thing, you know, I hear quite often, and this is like subtle stuff, is this person is not like me, you know, they're not my style, they're not my cup of tea. And then even more, a little aggressively, is what's wrong with them. You know, these common phrases that we can hear quite often, and, you know, myself, I use them quite a bit too. And I try to be mindful of it. But, you know, we might hear of someone, you know, committing a violent act against someone, and, you know, the first thing in our mind is what's wrong with them. And it's kind of this response, you know, that, you know, because the act is so outrageous and it spurs so much emotion in us, I feel like for me, it's a natural protective mechanism to view that person as less than human. And as a result, it's easier for me to create distance between them. And the more distance I create between myself and them, then the easier it's for me to view them as not human. And as a result, it's easier for me to be aggressive towards them and violent towards them. So, you know, us versus them mentality can be subtle stuff. You know, there was recently a yoga teacher who posted this highly controversial video, and and he has like a big student following, and a lot of students called him out on it. And he said, you know what, if you don't like it, you can leave. You're not part of our tribe anymore. You're too scared to speak the truth. You need to leave our community. And that in and of itself is kind of this us versus them mentality. You're no longer welcome in our tribe, and you need to leave. And it was a little stronger than that. I'm not going to get into it because it's a digression. It's an I digress. But basically, the intention of yoga is to include everyone in our circle and acknowledge everyone as human. Even if, and that doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but there's a difference between devaluing someone and acknowledging that you have a different perspective than them. Gandhi goes on to say that Ahimsa is an attribute of the brave. That in order to truly practice nonviolence and compassion, it requires bravery, it requires courage. And, you know, why does Ahimsa, why does nonviolence require bravery, require courage? And because if we're really doing Ahimsa, if we're really practicing compassion, it requires us to look into how we might be contributing towards systems of violence and oppression. If we're really doing compassion, if we're really practicing Ahimsa, it requires us to look at ourselves very honestly and what we're doing in our lives and ask ourselves, how are we contributing towards violence and oppression? And sorry, this is a bit like intense, but it's important. You know, I'm a white man. There's lots of white privilege going on here. You know, how do we contribute to systemic forms of racism? How do we contribute to forms of speciesism? You know, do we believe our species is better than, you know, cows? And as a result, does that permit us to treat them immorally and slaughter them? And, you know, it's just, there's no judgment here. There's just questions. And you know, life is complex, man. It's really complicated. And what we can do, I think, as human beings is acknowledge that our highest duty is to be compassionate. And this requires constant questioning of ourselves and looking at ourselves and looking at our actions and the results of our actions. And that's what the yoga is. And trying to bring more love into this world and bring more love to ourselves. Okay, this is a cute story alert. Love also requires bravery in non-attachment. So if we're truly practicing, you know, if we're practicing love, there is some level of non-attachment to it. And especially with regards to our personal relationships. So let's just say with a loved one. Let's put it in the context of a loved one, someone you love dearly. And you're like, oh, I love them so much. And our ego's predisposition when we love someone so much is to just be like, I love you. I'm never gonna let you go. You're mine now. You know, just because you love them so much. Like my most beautiful image is like a little puppy dog or Joe. Like I'm like, oh, he's just so cute. Like I just hug him and I don't want to let him go. So we have this predisposition, especially coming from our ego, to cling to things that we love deeply and to almost want to control them, you know, if we're not mindful of it. And so, you know, Gandhi says Ahimsa is an attribute of the brave. Being compassionate is an attribute of the brave. And with regards to our personal relationships to those we love dearly, we need to have the ability to practice non-attachment, and that requires bravery too, because non-attachment gives space for change, like we talked about yesterday. And so, you know, I love Joe so much, and he's just so cute, and I never want him to leave. Like, never. And so Vairagya becomes very important, to give him a bit of space. Because as we all know, things change. And as we all know, we grow and we evolve as human beings. And if we're always clinging to someone, we don't give them any space to grow, to change, to, you know, most of us are not the same as we were 5 years ago. And so in relationships, we have to give our partners space to grow and be different from year to year. And so the cute story alert is, you know, when my mom, when I was like, okay, I'm moving to Australia, I'm going to call mom and tell her. So mom's living in Canada, I'm living in Canada. My sisters are already living in Australia. They have been for many years. So it's just myself and my mom. My dad too, but, you know, my mom and my dad are separated. So it's just, you know, myself, my mom boyfriend. So my mom has her boyfriend. But I'm basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm the last child left in Canada. So I call mom and I'm like, Mom, I have some news to tell you. I've decided I'm gonna move to Australia. And without skipping a beat, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. Like, this is so exciting. You'll get to be with Joe. Like, I'm so happy for you. Like, this is great. You know, what are you thinking? When are you thinking? You know, like this complete, like, I'm here for you. I'm going to share in your excitement. You sound so excited. Let's talk about this. And then we talk. The next day, she calls me back, crying on the phone. She's like, why are you all leaving me? I'm going to be so alone. I'm going to miss all of you. Honestly, like, so cute. So cute. But I thought that was the most beautiful example of, you know, love. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care and doesn't mean that you still have this clinginess. It just means that you also give space for people to change and do what they need to do. And so in that moment, you know, when I first told my mom, she totally gave me that space to follow my heart and to do what I needed to do, to live my life, you know, and she cares really deeply, and it was really hard for her. And, you know, I think that's the really beautiful thing about our relationship is, you know, she gives me that space to be who I want to be. And she also shares in the moments where it's tough and challenging for her. You know, non-attachment's not always easy, and non-attachment's not about being cold and distancing ourselves from our lovers. Non-attachment is about giving space for our lovers to change and be different and to grow as they need to grow. All right. I think that I'll go, yeah, this is a quote from Brene Brown. Compassion is a commitment. It's not something we have or don't have. It's something we choose to practice. I think sometimes we can feel, you know, love is fleeting and kindness is fleeting. Like, we don't always feel lovey-dovey. Like, when I go to bed, I'm like, I need my space. Please don't touch me. I'm going to sleep. We're not always lovey-dovey. So I think, you know, we have to remind ourselves that, you know, compassion isn't something that we have or we don't have. It's a practice. It's a commitment. It's something that we choose. Like, regardless if we feel lovey-dovey or not, we can still act compassionately and respectfully. So I love that quote by Brene Brown. This is quote by Baba Haridas. So I'm going into all the quotes, but they're coming up to a good theme here. If you are in peace, then others around you will feel peace. Like, if you are deeply at peace with yourself, other people will feel that. If you feel really at peace in your body and you're walking around and acting in a way where you feel like at peace, others can feel that. And it's the same for compassion. When you're firmly grounded in compassion and nonviolence, it affects other people so that they drop their defensiveness and hostility. I've been trying to approach this when I'm giving like feedback to people, that if I do it in a skillful, compassionate manner, the end result is that the person will drop their defensiveness. Maybe not all of it, but at least a little, and their hostility. And so whenever I'm trying to have conversations with people that have very different viewpoints than me, my goal is, how can I be compassionate here in a way where they feel like they're not being threatened? So that's been something I've been trying to work on in my own life. How can I act in a way towards someone who has a radically different perspective, and we're at a conundrum, in a way where they don't feel like I'm threatening them? And that's often where the birthplace of really cool conversations come from. You have very opposing ideas, and there's energy behind these opposing ideas, but you're acting in a way where there's this possibility to still communicate, and you're acting in a way where you're allowing the other person to feel safe. How cool is that? So, I'll go briefly into this. It's Saturday. Let's call it our philosophy day. If our concern is to embody compassion, embody peace so that other people sense it, then we have to be concerned about self-compassion and ask ourselves, what does self-compassion look like? Self-compassion looks like warmth, concern, and well wishes. So when you're practicing compassion to yourself, you might be like, how do I practice compassion towards myself? And practicing self-compassion is sending yourself warmth, concern, and well wishes. Like, you're concerned. Like, you're concerned of yourself. Like, a mother's concerned of her child. Like, you're concerned. You know, you send yourself warmth, like cozy hugs. and well wishes. Like it's kind of a more tactile way of not tactile, more of like a feely way of experiencing self-compassion, warmth, concern, and well wishes. I already said this. Compassion doesn't mean you have to agree with someone. It means you see their humanity. So someone who's racist, obviously I'm not going to agree with their perspectives of racism. Yet I'm also not going to dehumanize them so that I can act violently and aggressive towards them. At the same time, I'm going to stand my ground and say, hey, I'm not in agreement with this. And part of me acting non-violently is, being in this place where I'm going to hold you accountable to this. And so I'll go into this concept, pratipaksha bhavana. Pratipaksha bhavana is this concept of cultivating the opposite. Pratipaksha bhavana. Pratipaksha bhavana. This concept of cultivating the opposite. So classically it's referred to like if you're experiencing really negative emotion, what can be helpful to shift the energy is to cultivate the opposite emotion. If you're experiencing really negative thoughts, to shift that energy, that pull from the negative thoughts, you can contemplate positive thoughts. But it can also be translated as your ability to place yourself in someone else's shoes, to understand their story and where they're coming from. So this is really important with regards to practicing compassion as well. When we're meeting someone who has extremely opposing ideas to us, it can be helpful to understand where they're coming from and to try to understand their story. And that brings a bit more humanity into the conversation. When I first moved to Australia, 2 weeks after living here, I was walking down the road with my sister. She's visiting from Byron Bay, down in the CBD, and these white Australians bumped into this tiny Asian girl, and they said, "Whoa." They used a racist term towards her. "Whoa, get out of our way." And she turned around and called them out on that and like, "Hey, you're not allowed to use that word with me." And I was like, "You go, girl." And then they turned around and then just went to town on her and were like, "You're not welcome here. You go back to China. This isn't your home. Get out of here." And she just started bursting into tears. And I just remember there's this image of her just standing there, tears streaming down her face. And she just yelled at them, "This is my home. I live here." And they kept yelling racial slurs at her. And so, I went in between them, between the Asian girl and these white Australians. And I just stood in the middle and I was like facing the white Australian people. And I just put my hand in front of them and I said, I felt like one of those cartoon characters, like a superhero, like Sailor Moon or something. "Stop." "You need to stop. This is not okay." My sister was like, "Duncan, what the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "You need to stop. This is not okay." And then they were like trying to kind of like get around me to get to her. So I backed up and I'm like, "You need to stop." And then they're like, "Just get out of this way. This doesn't involve you, mate." And I'm like, "You need to stop. This is not okay. If you keep going like this, I'm calling the police." And as soon as I said the police, they kind of like were like, oh. And then they kind of started backing up. And I was like, "If you don't stop now, I'm calling the police now." And then they eventually stopped and they turned around and walked away. That's where Gandhi's saying Ahimsa is an act of bravery. To be nonviolence requires acts of bravery. I didn't go and punch them in the face, but I didn't also allow them to continue the violence that they were instigating. Anyways, I'll move on. This is another cute story alert. Cute. This is our last one, and then we'll move on. Oh, we've got to practice some asana. Otherwise, we'll just be talking and you'll get sore butts. Last cute story. In high school, obviously because of my sexuality, I hated religion. We were like mom and dad raised us in kind of like more of a spiritual fashion. You know, we talked about Native American stories at nighttime and, you know, more hippy dippy stuff. So we were very well versed in kind of like spirituality, but more strict religion I viewed as a threat to me, especially in high school being gay. I viewed religion as a threat. So, you know, mom would sometimes hear me when I'm at home talking about how horrible religion is and how it's the worst thing in the world. And, you know, that it brings out the worst in people. And, you know, because, you know, I felt threatened by religion. So, you know, here in my mind, I'm dehumanizing everyone who follows a religious practice in high school. And so my mom's so sweet, so smart. My favorite author at that time in my life was Anne Rice. The Vampire Chronicles, such great fantasy literature, so good. Addicted to her literature, like I read her books all the time. And so mom went out and bought me a book called Christ the Lord, written by Anne Rice. Talk about pratipaksha bhavana, putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to understand their story and where they're coming from and trying to talk to them in a way where they won't feel as threatened. So she bought me a book called, whatever I just said it, sorry, it's coming to my mind, by Anne Rice. And it's basically the story of Jesus, Jesus's story, written by my favorite author. And she brought it home, and she I think she gave it for Christmas or my birthday, I can't remember. And inside it, I forget exactly what she wrote, but she wrote something along the lines of, it's easy to hate something that you're not willing to understand. Boom. Something along the lines of that. I think it was a little more eloquent. And she didn't force me to read it. She's just like, listen, Duncan, it's a really good story. I would like recommend that you read it. It's really good. And it's by your favorite author. And then she just kind of left it. And I didn't, to be honest, didn't read it for a couple of months. And then, you know, we grew up in a country town, and like we lived in a forest. We had dial-up internet, so the internet was really, really slow at our house. I didn't have a cell phone. It was back in those days where, you know, most of us didn't have cell phones still. At least I didn't have one. So I spent most of my time reading, and I'd go through books quite quickly, and it got to a point on a day where I had read obviously all my books, and I was like, that book there, Christ the Lord by Anne Rice, was sitting there with a big picture of Jesus on the front, and I was like, I love Anne Rice. Mom says it's a good story, so I'll read it. And, you know, I just read the first chapter, and I was hooked. And it was an amazing story. And afterwards, I was like, wow, Jesus is love. I get it. And, you know, it was such a great learning experience for me, you know, how bad it can be to generalize something. And there's so much value in religion. It's beautiful. There's so much love there. And it was a big kind of self-awakening for me. And so really, if you're listening, Mom, thank you. That was a really good lesson you taught me there. So, yes, our duty as human beings is to practice love and compassion, and to acknowledge that we have a tendency to be aggressive, especially when we feel threatened. And in that state, it's very easy to disclude, I don't know if that's a word, to not allow people to be included in the circle of us, you know. And in the circle of us, can we include people from different religions, people with different perspectives, different aspects of who we are? Last comment, Laghima. So we've been talking a lot about compassion, and probably with a little bit more regards to ethics. But I do want to bring a little bit more lightheartedness to this, because the heart chakra also includes joy and happiness and love. And Laghima translates as the ability to levitate. We can also translate it as the ability to be lighthearted, like this lighthearted energy. You're so lighthearted you can float. Like, woo, yay, I'm airy. You know, the element of the heart chakra is air, this lightheartedness, this lightness, like, oh, I feel light, feel good. Let's go paragliding. And when I was at Baba Haridas's ashram in California, a few of you have heard this story. He doesn't speak, he writes on a chalkboard. He renounced speaking as part of his spiritual practice. So during one of the lectures one day where we ask him questions and he writes on a chalkboard, this woman has a complete breakdown. She's like, Baba Haridas, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I feel so lost. I'm going through this divorce. I've lost my kids. Like, everything's falling apart. Like, da da da. I forget exactly what the story was, but she was just, you know, asking him all these questions all at once, bursting out into tears, crying. You could feel the pain she was going through. And her friends close to her were like comforting her and, you know, like trying to console her. And she was just having like one of those big, ugly cries, like a massive release. And Baba Haridas just sits there and he's so cute. He just sits there and he just watches. He had like, you know, long white beard. Like he was like just a rock for her, like just totally listening. She finishes her spiel. And then you just hear him writing on the chalkboard and we're all waiting to see what he writes on the chalkboard. And then he just flips it over. And literally on the other side, and he's like dead serious, just looking at her. All it says is, "You cry a lot." That's it. And the whole room, like just like this, burst into laughter. Like even I looked over to the woman, especially the woman who was crying. I was curious to see her reaction, and she was so caught off guard. She was laughing too. Like, the whole room just burst into laughter. And for me, it was this beautiful reminder that, you know, this practice is serious and it involves ethics and it involves discipline. You know, Baba Haridas was a very serious man, but he also liked to crack wicked jokes. Like, not wicked as in mean, but just like really funny jokes. He had this very playful, lighthearted energy. And this comes from our heart, you know, our ability to love and to see someone where they're at and extend our compassion towards them. And sometimes that involves a joke, so, you know, in the right circumstance. Sometimes it involves a bit of playfulness and a bit of lightheartedness. So I'll forever remember that. And, you know, I think for me, looking back on that experience, that woman just needed that release. And she needed that space to let go of that emotion. And I remember she was laughing so hard after that. Like, the whole room was caught off guard. It was great. It was a great experience. Seeing how someone can read the energy of a room and instigate like an energetic shift that is of benefit to the person who is suffering deeply. All right, shall we do some asana? So today, obviously, we're going to be working with backbending. Backbending will need to require some movement through our thoracic spine. So your thoracic spine is kind of like your mid to upper back, and we need to have movement here. And sometimes it can get look at these sweat stains, eh? I just get so excited when I talk. This region can sometimes get a little stuck because we just tend to stay in one position, especially if you work at the computer and type lots of philosophy notes all day long, wink, wink, wink. So it's good to just get some movement in here. So that's often called your T-spine mobility, T standing for thoracic, and then mobility standing for like the ability to move that region. So for good back bending, we need to have movement in our upper body. And that involves opening the front of our heart and also opening the back of our heart. And I like this idea that when we open our front of our heart, it opens our heart towards our relationships with other people and the world that we can see. And then when we open the back of our heart, it opens our relationship to that which we can't see. and to the unseen world, our trust in the divine, our trust in, you could say, Jesus. So opening the front of the chest, opening the back of the heart, both are equally important. And whenever I talk about backbending, I like to think about where we backbend naturally in life. In life, when we win something, we're like, yes! We intuitively, instinctively lift our chest up. When we're looking up to the stars or looking up towards the heavens, we do a natural backbend in order to look up. So it's just nice to see where in our life we naturally tend to backbend. When we're in a state of ecstasy, like maybe orgasm, sometimes there's this arcing of the spine, this rapture. It's like, yes, yes. And then also, where do we tend to favor an opening of the back of the heart, when we let the shoulders round forward, and it's sometimes when we're caring for someone, when we're caring for a baby, we let ourselves kind of close inwards and we're like, I got you, baby. So it's nice to contemplate that. All right, let's get started. You can come to your mat. Okay, we're gonna get right into it. So please come onto your hands and knees. Come down onto your elbows and forearms. If you have 2 blocks, that can be helpful. So if you have 2 blocks, you can put your elbows on your blocks and have your blocks shoulder distance wide. If you don't have blocks, don't worry about it. Elbows on your blocks, palms are together. Walk your knees back. And you're going to try to bring your chest towards the floor and try to bring your hands towards your spine. So the chest melts down towards the floor and the hands also come towards your T spine. So Anahatasana. And then I'd like you to take a few breaths here and try to let your heart soften towards the floor. And then I'd like you to bring a little bit more action to this position. So press your elbows down into your blocks a little more actively. And lift your chest up just about a couple millimeters so that you're not collapsing through the chest anymore. You're pushing the elbows down to lift the chest a few millimeters, if not even more, away from the ground. As you push the elbows down, can you feel your shoulders begin to work a bit more? Draw your front lower ribs in so that you're not back bending through the back as much anymore. Okay. Take one more deep inhale. Hit full exhale, finding a bit more containment. Nice. And then please come up onto your hands and knees. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Inhale, look forward, tilt the sit bones up. Cow pose. And exhale, cat. Push the hands and knees down, dome through the back, spread the shoulder blades wide, gaze towards the navel. Inhale, look forward, tilt the sit bones up, open your chest to the front. Exhale, push your hands and knees down and really try to open the back of your heart, your upper back. Spread those shoulder blades wide. Really round your spine to the sky. Really look at your belly button. One more time. Inhale, look forward. Tilt the sit bones up. Exhale, actively push your hands and knees down, round, 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 round. Protract those shoulder blades, which means they spread wide and the upper back broadens. Inhale, come to neutral. Downward dog pose. Send your butt back and up towards the sky. Once you're in downward dog, bend your right knee. Let your left heel drop heavy. Take a full inhale. And a full exhale. And switch sides. Bend your left knee. Your right heel drops heavy. Take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. Good. And then pedal back and forth from side to side. Just bringing a bit more movement into the calves. And then come to a place of stillness in your downward dog. Focusing your eyes on one spot between your feet. Actively driving your hands forward and down into the ground. Rolling the outer shoulders back, spinning the inner biceps forward. And take a full breath into your body. Full breath out. And one more deep inhale. Full exhale. Bend your knees, look forward, walk, walk, walk towards the top of your mat. Inhale, lift halfway up, elongate your spine. And then exhale, fold slowly over your legs, let your head release. One more time, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, release your head. Belly towards the thighs. Inhale, reach both hands all the way up to the sky. Push down through the feet. Reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And stay connected with your breath. Inhale, reach both hands up towards the sky. Full inhale. Fold forward over your legs. Exhale, release your head. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate your spine. Exhale, hands down, step your right foot back, drop your right knee to the ground. Inhale, reach both hands up, palms touch, maybe look up, reach up. Exhale, hands come down towards the ground, step back, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in downward dog. Full breath out. One more deep inhale. Exhale all your air. Bend your knees, step your right foot forward, drop your left knee down. Inhale, both hands up, Anjaneyasana, reach your palms up. Exhale, hands come down towards the ground. Step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, release your head. Inhale, hands all the way up towards the sky, reaching tall, reach up, up, up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And one more time, inhale, reach up, full breath in. Exhale, fold over your legs all the way down towards the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step left foot back, drop your left knee down. Inhale, reach both hands up, Anjaneyasana, look up, reach up. Exhale, hands to the ground, step back, downward facing dog. Take a steady breath in and a steady breath out. Deep inhale and a full exhale. Bend both knees, step your left foot forward. Drop your right knee down. Inhale, both hands up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands to the ground, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate. Exhale, fold and let it all go. Inhale, reach both hands all the way up towards the sky. Reach tall. Exhale, hands to your chest. Good. Now bend both of your knees, sit your butt down and back. Inhale, reach your arms forward and up, Utkatasana. It's a really good pose for back bending because it helps wake up our back, helps us encourage a little bit more containment through our rib cage. It helps us wake up our shoulders and our upper back with that lifting those arms up and broadening across the chest, lifting your sternum, your breastbone up. Whew. Sit your bum down and back. Make those legs work. Good. Focus your eyes on one place. And now just take your thumbs, give yourself a thumbs up, and then take those thumbs directly into your hip creases. Push the tops of your thigh bones down and back so you go more into hip flexion. Keep the weight back. As you push the thumbs down, elongate and lift the torso up. Broaden across your chest. So the chest comes broad and open, the breastbone lifts. And gently pull the low ribs in. Keep sitting down and back. Now add the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Take only 3 more breaths. Lift those arms, you've got this. 2 more breaths. Can you sit a little deeper? 1 more deep inhale. Go deep, lift those arms, and then stand all the way up. Tadasana, turn your palms forward, close your eyes. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Blink your eyes open, hands to your hips. Bend both knees. Step your right foot to the back and turn all 10 toes to face the right. Then come into Go Duncan. Turn your right foot to the right, please. Bend into your right knee strongly. Angle your left foot in slightly towards your right foot. Good. Warrior 2 pose. Inhale, arms up. Spread the arms wide. Look just off the tip of your right middle finger. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Can you go a little bit lower in your legs? Can you lift and lengthen up through the torso? Can you try to find equalness across the front of the chest and the back of your heart? So that you're not opening so much across the front of the chest that you close off the back of your heart. There's almost symmetry from front to back. As Brené Brown says, strong back, strong front, wild heart. I think this is such a good concept philosophically, but also physically for backbending. Backbending, we need to have a strong front. We also need to have a strong back, and we need to have a wild heart. Look just off the tip of your right middle finger. 3 more breaths. Go a little bit lower into your front thigh. 2. Keep squaring your chest to the left. Okay, 1 last deep inhale. Full exhale. Well done. Hands to hips. Straighten your right leg. Pivot your feet. Turn your left foot to face the front of your mat. Bend into your left knee so your left knee is over your left ankle. Square your chest to the right. Inhale, spread your arms wide. Virabhadrasana 2. Look off the tip of your left middle finger. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Can there be steadiness to where you're looking? So the eyes are steady. Can there be a softness to your shoulders? Can there be an evenness to the space across the front of your chest and the back, your upper back? 3 more breaths. Can go a little bit lower in your legs. Strong back, strong front, wild heart. Take 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Good. Hands to hips. Straighten your front leg. Pivot through the feet again. Bend into your right knee. Can you go maybe a little bit deeper than you were previously? Spread your arms wide. Full warrior 2. Exhale, right hand down to ground or block. Left hand reaches overhead for side angle pose. Can you turn your chest to the sky? Anchor down through the back foot, anchor through the front foot. Stretch that left hand overhead. Lift the inner arches of the feet. 3 more breaths. And 2. Can you stretch that left arm overhead? Stretch that lat. Okay, 1 last deep inhale. Full exhale. Good. Inhale, come up, warrior 2. Well done. Pivot through the feet, switch sides, bend into your left knee, go low in the legs, but lift up through the pelvic floor and the torso. Parshvakonasana, bring your left hand to ground, block, or put your elbow on top of your knee if you need to modify, right arm overhead. Push down through both feet, turn the chest towards the ceiling. Again, can you let your eyes land on one point and let them be steady? And then stretch that right arm overhead so we get a nice, we get movement through our lats. And take 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Inhale, come all the way back up, warrior 2. And exhale, hands to hips, pivot through the feet. Drop your left knee down to the ground. Inhale, reach both hands up. Exhale, hands to your heart center in prayer. And then twist towards the right. Bring your hands together. Option to stay here or tuck your back toes, lift your back knee off the ground. As you bend into your front knee, press that back thigh up. Turn your chest to the right. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Deep inhale. Complete exhale. Can you go a little bit lower into your front thigh? Press up a little higher through your left thigh. Good. Both hands to the ground. Pivot to the other side. To the front of your mat. Drop your right knee down. Inhale, both hands up. Exhale, hands to your chest. Twist to the left. Option to lift your back knee off the ground. Bend into your front knee. Press your back thigh up. Push your hands together, twist. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Keep pressing that back thigh up, 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 up. Okay, 1 last breath here. Exhale, both hands to the ground. Step back, downward dog pose. Take a full breath into your body. Full breath out. Head, knees come down to the ground. Come onto your elbows and your forearms and interlace your hands together like you're doing dolphin pose. Tuck your toes, lift your knees off the ground. Send your butt back and up. Drive your elbows forward and down into the ground. Take a slow, steady breath in. And a slow, steady breath out. And inhale, shift forward with your head, look forward. Now just look forward towards your hands. Imagine as if there's a little pool of water in front of your hands and you're a camel, so you're really thirsty, you're ready to drink some water. So shift your head forward, try to get your chin forward of your knuckles, maybe kiss or lick the ground, or just try to get as close as you can, and then push all the way back to dolphin. Inhale, come forward. See that pool of water. Try to get your chin to touch your knuckle, or try to get your chin ahead of the knuckles, and then push all the way back. Dolphin. Okay. 5 more times. Come all the way forward, and then all the way back.
If it's too intense on your shoulder, then just don't come as far forward. Okay? And back. Try to stay with it. 3 more times. And back. 2. Shoulder strength and shoulder mobility are really important for back bending. 1 last time. Come all the way forward and press all the way back. Stay in dolphin pose. You can do it. Take a full breath in dolphin. Full breath out. Good. Both knees come down to the ground. Come onto your hands and knees. Inhale, left arm up to the sky. Exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right arm. Come down onto your left cheek. Push your right hand down to tuck your left shoulder under a little more. Stay here. I personally prefer keeping my hand on the ground. But if it feels better for you, you can reach your right hand up to the sky, wrap it around to your left hip. Up to you. Take 2 more breaths. Breathe deeply. Okay, 1 more deep inhale. Full exhale. Oi, oi, oi. Come back up to center. Inhale, reach the right arm up. Good. Exhale, twist. Right arm underneath the left arm. Come down onto your right cheek. Push your left hand down. Really tuck that right shoulder under. Option to reach your left hand up to the sky, wrap it around to your right hip. Take 2 more breaths. Good, and then come all the way back to center. Downward facing dog pose. Send your butt nice and high towards the sky. Take a deep inhale in downward dog. Full breath out. Inhale, come forward to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 1 more time. Inhale, plank. Slowly with control, chaturanga, push through the inner hand. Upward dog or cobra, inhale. Downward facing dog pose, full exhale. Take a steady breath in and a steady breath out. And drop your knees down to the ground. If you have a block, place it between your hands. Come onto your elbows and forearms. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. Just turn your palms down. Or if your shoulders are a little more tight, interlace your hands together for another dolphin pose like we did earlier. Tuck your toes, lift your knees off the ground. Option to stay here or walk your feet in. Lift your right leg up, stay here, or kick up, Pinchamayurasana. Wherever you are, can you take 5 more breaths? Breath is steady. Push the elbows and forearms down. 4, pull the lower ribs in. 3, stay focused, breathe. 2, 1 last breath. Good, and then come down, knees on the floor. Come onto your hands and knees. Downward facing dog pose. Take a full breath in downward dog. Full breath out. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And 1 more time, take a full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And knees come to the ground. Your last dolphin, yay, it's your last one. Elbows and forearms come to the ground. Tuck your toes, lift your knees off the floor. stay here. Just stay here or walk the feet in. Lift your left leg up, other leg, and kick up, Pinchamarasana. Can you hold 5 breaths? Try to work on your line. So really draw those low ribs in. If you can, look your head back through the biceps. 2 more breaths. Good, and then slowly come down. Release. Downward dog pose. Take a full breath in downward dog. Excuse me. And a full breath out. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend your knees deep. Sit your butt low. Bring your hands into prayer. Chair pose at the back of your mat. Get your butt low. Send it back. Pull the lower ribs in a little. Lift your chest. Good. Reach your hands forward. Hook your thumbs. Hook, hook, hook. Remember, tomorrow's a rest day. No asana tomorrow. Lift your arms up. So as you hook your thumbs and you lift your arms up, try to open and lift through the chest. Keep sitting your bum down and back. As the bum sits down and back, lift your arms up higher. Good. So think about this as an opportunity to find movement through the upper spine. Keep sitting the bum down and back. The top of the thighs go down, hip flexion. The lower ribs pull in just a little. And then as the lower ribs pull in, you lift those arms up. Switch the cross of your thumbs. Go a little bit lower. Last 3 breaths, and then we move on. 2, can you go a little lower in the legs? Reach up a little higher through your arms. Y'all are doing good. 1 last deep inhale. Separate the hands. Lift those arms up. Reach up, reach up. Lift the chest, lift the sternum. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Release. Walk your hands forward to downward facing dog. And then step your right foot forward between your hands. Drop your left knee down to the ground. Bring both hands on the inside of your right foot. Option to stay here, or reach back with your right hand and grab your left foot. Option to maybe come down onto your left elbow, left forearm. Turn your chest open to the right. So there's a few options here. You choose what works best for your hips. 3 more deep breaths. 2. Both hands down to the ground. Please step back, downward facing dog pose. Hey, step your left foot forward. Drop your right knee down. Both hands on the ground. Option to stay here or reach your left hand back, catch your right foot, maybe come down onto your right elbow, forearm. Turn your chest to the left. If your right elbow is down, take 3 breaths. 2. Good. 1 last deep inhale. Full exhale. Good. Both hands on the ground. Come right onto your bum and lie down onto your back. Bend your knees so your feet are close together. Your feet are hip distance wide roughly. Thighs are parallel. Hands down beside the hips, push your feet down. As you push your feet down, can you push your shoulders down, lift your chest up, grab the edges of your mat, and try to pull your mat apart with your hands. And then come a little higher on your shoulders, like tuck your shoulders under a little bit more. Pull the mat apart with your hands, and then try to lift your chest higher. So getting a little bit more movement through the T-spine. Can you keep your thighs parallel? Roll your inner thighs down to the ground. So that would feel like you dialing your feet in slightly. If you remember the ground reaction force, dialing the feet in and out. And then to complement that, you lengthen your tailbone slightly towards the backs of your knees. So the glutes and the hamstrings engage. And take one more deep inhale. And then exhale, release. We are going to do 6 more back bends. Yes, you heard correctly. 6. It's wunderbar. So if you know how to pace yourself, so you know we're going to do 6 more. You can stay and do bridge for the next 3 and then do 3 more deeper back bends. You can do 6 Urdhva Dhanurasanas. It's up to you. We're going to do 6 more back bends. If you don't know what to do, I encourage you to listen to how your back feels. And if you're still unsure, I recommend just staying with bridge. Repeat the same pose we just did 6 more times. Push your feet down. I'm going to do a bridge again for this one. Push your feet down, lift your pelvis back up. Dial your feet in. I think that was from like day 4 or 3. Let the inner thighs roll down to the ground. Lengthen your tailbone towards the backs of your knees. Push your shoulders down. Lift the chest. Pull the hands apart against the mat. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. One more deep inhale. And exhale, come all the way down. Okay, we have 5 left. So this time you can keep your hands beside your hips, or you can put your hands up beside your ears for Urdhva Dhanurasana. Okay. Lift your pelvis up. Option to just stay there, or come to the top of the head and then push the arms. 5 breaths, breathe. 4, 3, breathe, breathe, breathe. Push down through the feet, push down through the hands or the shoulders. 2, good, and then 1. Come all the way down towards the ground. Take a moment to pause. Y'all are doing good. We only have 4 more left to do. Backbend extravaganza. Take care of yourself. Be compassionate. Acknowledge your own personal boundaries. Be compassionate. Hands down beside your hips. Lift the pelvis, or hands up beside the ears. Come to the top of the head. Push up, Urdhva. 5 breaths. 4. Keep the breath steady. Can you dial the feet in against the mat? Can you roll the inner thighs down? Lengthen the tailbone forward. Push the hands or the shoulders down. Take 1 more deep inhale. Exhale, come all the way down. Take a moment to pause, recalibrate. How does your body feel? I am kind to those around me. I am kind towards myself. That's today's mantra. Be kind. Not aggressive. Let go of any aggression. 3 more back bends. Hands down beside your hips or hands up beside your ears. Lift the pelvis up. Maybe come to the top of the head. Maybe push all the way up. Hold. Breathe. 5 more breaths. 4. 3. How's the quality of your breathing? 2. 2. Good, last breath. And then come all the way down. So good. Take a moment to pause, recalibrate. If your body has had enough, then, feel free to just stay resting on the ground. We have 2 more back bends. This time, option for Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. That's the one where you push up to full wheel or upward bow. And then you come down onto one forearm, the other forearm, and interlace the hands behind the head. Okay. Lift your pelvis up. Stay in bridge or on the ground, or push up, Urdhva Dhanurasana. Option to lower your head back down to the ground. Come onto your right forearm, take the right hand behind your head, and then the left hand behind your head, Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. 5 breaths. Wherever you are, 5 breaths. Focus on your body, on your breath. That's the yoga. One last breath in. Okay, release the hands. If you're in Dvipada, push up, full Urdhva. And then everyone roll your spine down towards the ground. Good job. Last back bend. If you've been doing some deeper back bends, I'd probably recommend doing like a bridge pose. So you gradually come out of the depth of your back bend. It's a nice transition out. Good for the nervous system. Last back bend. Inhale, lift the pelvis. Maybe taking bridge. If you still want to go a little deeper, that's up to you. You use your own discretion. Otherwise, bridge pose. Your last back bend. Keep your thighs parallel-ish. Dial the feet in slightly. Lengthen the tailbone forward. Breathe into your chest, into your heart. Good. And then roll your spine bone by bone down to the ground. Take your feet mat distance wide. Let your knees knock together. Cactus your arms out to either side. Let your knees fall to the right. Squeeze your left butt. Push your left inner foot against the ground to extend your left hip a little more. Turn your head to the left. Take a deep inhale. Breathe into the belly, the chest. Full exhale. Bring your knees back to center. Knees fall to the left. Push with the right foot. Squeeze the right glute. Turn your head to the right. And come back through center. Place your right ankle on your left thigh. Thread the needle. So if you have tight hips, just push your right thigh away with your right hand. Otherwise, hug your left leg in. Maybe let your eyes close, let your jaw relax. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Can you be totally kind towards yourself right now? Beautiful. Let's switch sides. Left ankle on the right thigh. If your hips are a little tighter, just stay here and push your left leg forward with your left hand. Otherwise, hug your right leg in.
Can you take a really profound breath in? And a really profound breath out. Slowly release. Hug both knees into your chest gently. Rock yourself up to a seated position. Cross your shins, so put your left shin bone in front of your right shin bone for Sukhasana. If you're a little tighter in the hips, you can sit up on a block. If you're really open in the hips and you prefer something a little more deep, you can put your left shin on top of your right shin for Agni Stambhasana, so double pigeon pose, like so. But I'd only encourage that if you're really, really open in the hips and it comes with ease. Otherwise, just stay with Sukhasana, left shin in front of right shin. Inhale, sit tall. Option to keep your hands behind you to lift and elongate the torso, or slowly walk the hands forward and forward fold. Can you let your head relax, let your jaw relax? Allow the back of your heart to open, to connect with the unseen world. Our connection to divinity, that which we can't always see, but we may feel. That which is there behind us, supporting us, guiding us. Whatever you want to call it, universal consciousness, the universe, God, Jesus, Muhammad. Spirit. And inhale, slowly push yourself up. Switch the cross of your legs. So right shin in front of the left shin. If you'd prefer, you can stack your right shin on top of your left shin. Option to keep your hands behind you and elongate the torso upwards, or walk your hands forward and forward fold. Can you take 5 steady, slow breaths? Inhale, slowly come up, please. Come to a comfortable seat, setting up for pranayama. So obviously we're going to go a little bit over today. If you do need to leave, feel free to scoot. We love you. You can do the pranayama session on YouTube later. Otherwise, we'll take pranayama now, and then we'll do shavasana afterwards. Please come to a comfortable seat in a chair. You can sit in a chair, you can sit on a block. Just make sure you're comfortable enough to be here for several minutes. We'll move into Nadi Shodhana. So please take your right palm facing upwards. Bring your middle and index finger towards the center of your palm. Then you'll use your thumb to close the right nostril and the ring finger to close the left nostril. And just wait a moment for that. Take a natural breath in and out. Close your right nostril, inhale left for 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left, exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Take a natural breath in. And a natural breath out. 2 more natural breaths. And 2 more rounds. Close the right nostril. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Inhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Natural breath in. Natural breath out. Can there be a gentleness across your shoulders and your face? Okay, so we have one more round left. 3 cycles of Nadi Shodhana. Close your right nostril, inhale through the left. 3, 2, 1. Close left, exhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right, exhale left, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale left, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left, exhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right, exhale left, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round, inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close left, exhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close right, and then exhale left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Natural breath in. Natural breath out. Can you allow there to be a gentleness in your mind, a gentleness in your body? Bring your hands together in front of your chest, palms touching. I am kind towards myself. I am kind to those around me. Yoga is ecology, seeking out our interconnectedness, our relationships with each other and our environment. Compassion is leaving no one and nothing out, nothing left out, as the Zen proverb says, including everything in the circle of us. Yoga is this opportunity to embrace all aspects of who we are, crawling inside of ourselves, seeing where we may be most broken, and loving ourselves there. Namaste. I'd invite you to take Savasana and lie down and just take a moment for your body to totally release after that pranayama and the asana. And maybe get cozy and just take a moment to lie down, be still, let go of everything. I'd recommend 5 minutes at least if you have the time for that. Otherwise, I'm going to scoot as I have to refilm the beginning of the class a little so that I can put it on YouTube for the others who didn't make the live class. So I love you all lots. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all are awesome.